and what dedicate ourselves to what the Greeks wrote so many years ago, to tame the savageness of man and make gentle the life of this world. Let us dedicate ourselves to that.
You can't rearm in your spare time any more than you can fight a war in your spare time. We ourselves can accomplish more than any bill can accomplish if we unite for our common cause, and that is what's best for the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, I came here tonight to tell you what is being done to help Americans come home from Europe. Before I left England, I was their private secretary. After war was declared, it was my job to help Americans get out of England. We estimated there were about 9,000, and I saw nearly 100 a day. We advised everybody to wait for an American ship. It was impossible to get accommodations for so many people all at once. I want to say to everyone listening in tonight, whether relative or friend abroad, every possible precaution is being taken. Meetings are being speeded up, but before very long, every American will be safely home.
The time is right. The hour has struck. The man is here, and he is ready. Let us go forth from this convention telling the American people that we have fulfilled our responsibility to the nation. Ladies and gentlemen of this convention, it is now my privilege to present to this convention as a candidate for President of the United States the name of the man uniquely qualified by virtue of his compassion, his conscience, and his courage to follow in the great traditions of Jefferson, Jackson, Wilson, Roosevelt, and the man from Independence. Fellow delegates, I give you the man from Libertyville, the next Democratic nominee, and our next President of the United States, Adlai E. Stevenson.
Let me say first that I accept the nomination of the Democratic Party. I accept it without reservation and with only one obligation: the obligation to devote every effort of my mind and spirit to lead our party back to victory and our nation to greatness. I am grateful, too, I am grateful, too, that you have provided us with such a strong platform to stand on and to run on. In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man.
No treaty, however much it may be to the advantage of all, however tightly it may be worded, can provide absolute security against the risks of deception and evasion. But it can, if it is sufficiently effective in its enforcement and it is sufficiently in the interest of its signers, offer far more security and far fewer risks than an unabated, uncontrolled, unpredictable arms race. The United States, as the world knows, will never start a war. We do not want a war. We do not now expect a war. This generation of Americans has already had enough, more than enough, of war and hate and oppression. We shall be prepared if others wish it. We shall be alert to try to stop it. But we shall also do our part to build a world of peace where the weak are safe and the strong are just. We are not helpless before that task or hopeless of its success. Confident and unafraid, we must labor on, not towards a strategy of annihilation, but towards a strategy of peace.
Beyond the freedom merely of this city of Berlin or your country of Germany, to the advance of freedom everywhere. Beyond the wall, to the day of peace with justice. Beyond yourselves and ourselves, to all mankind. Freedom is indivisible. And when one man is enslaved, all are not free. When all are free, then we can look forward to that day when this city will be joined as one, and this country and this great continent of Europe in a peaceful and hopeful globe. When that day finally comes, as it will, the people of West Berlin can take sober satisfaction in the fact that they were in the front lines for almost 2 decades. All free men, wherever they may live, are citizens of Berlin. And therefore, as a free man, I take pride in the words, Ich bin ein Berliner.
His it is the Shannon's brightly glancing stream, brightly gleaming. Silent in the morning beam, oh, the sight entrancing. Thus returned from travels long, years of exile, years of pain, to see old Shannon's face again, oh, the waters glancing. Well, I'm going to come back and see old Shannon's face again. And I'm taking, as I go back to America, all of you with me. Thank you.
As far as the job of president goes, it's rewarding, and I've given before to this group the definition of happiness of the Greeks. I'll define it again with full use of your powers along lines of excellence. I find that, therefore, the president provides some happiness.
When I think of President Kennedy, I think of what Shakespeare said in Romeo and Juliet, when he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he shall make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun.
My favorite poem, my favorite poet was Aeschylus. He once wrote, even in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God.
We must admit to ourselves that our children's future cannot be built on the misfortune of another's. We must recognize that this short life can neither be ennobled or enriched by hatred or by revenge. Our lives on this planet are too short. The work to be done is too great to let this spirit flourish any longer in this land of ours. Of course, we cannot banish it with a program, nor with a resolution. But we can perhaps remember, if only for a time, that those who live with us are our brothers, that they share with us the same short moment of life, that they seek, as do we, nothing but the chance to live out their lives in purpose and in happiness, winning what satisfaction and fulfillment that they can. Surely this bond of common fate, surely this bond of common goals can begin to teach us something. Surely we can learn at the least to look around at those of us, of our fellow men, and surely we can begin to work a little harder to bind up the wounds among us and to become in our hearts brothers and countrymen once again. Tennyson wrote in Ulysses, "That which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield." Thank you very much.
Our future may lie beyond our vision, but it is not beyond our control. Alfred Lord Tennyson once wrote, "The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks. The long day wanes. The slow moon climbs. The deep moans round with many voices. Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world."
Like it or not, we live in interesting times. They are times of danger and uncertainty, but they are also the most creative of any time in the history of mankind. And everyone here will ultimately be judged, will ultimately judge himself on the effort he has contributed to building a new world society and the extent to which his ideals and goals have shaped that effort.
Like it or not, we live in times of danger and uncertainty, but they are also more open to the creative energy of men than any other time in history. All of us will ultimately be judged, and as the years pass, we will surely judge ourselves on the effort we have contributed to building a new world society and the extent to which our ideals and goals have shaped that event. Our future may lie beyond our vision, but it is not completely beyond our control. It is the shaping impulse of America that neither fate nor nature, nor the irresistible tides of history, but the work of our own hands, matched to reason and principle, that will determine our destiny. There is pride in that, even arrogance, but there is also experience and truth. And in any event, it is the only way we can live.
It was a gift of herself that she gave to others. And in spite of all of her heartache and loss, she never faltered. In all the years since then, her genuineness and depth of character continued to shine through the privacy and reach people everywhere. Jackie was too young to be a widow in 1963 and too young to die now. Her grandchildren were bringing new joy to her life, a joy that illuminated her face whenever you saw them together. At the end, she worried more about us than herself. She let her family and friends know she was thinking of them. How cherished were those wonderful notes in her distinctive hand on her powder blue stationery. In truth, she did everything she could and more for each of us. She made a rare and noble contribution to the American spirit, but for us, most of all, she was a magnificent wife, a mother, a grandmother, a sister, aunt, and friend.
We welcome the wide circle of friends from home and overseas gathered here, who found so much inspiration in his life, so much warmth in his friendship, so much pain in his loss. This library will be more than just a collection of photographs and objects under glass. It will be a living memorial at many levels. Here in Boston, it'll take up the causes of the community, helping to revitalize this section of our city. Across the country, it will reach out to visitors and scholars, summoning young men and women to careers in public life. For those in other lands, it will be a beacon, signaling the message of this nation, a lighthouse bearing witness to Jack's truth that America, at its best, can truly light the world.
It's hard to believe so many years have passed since Bobby's campaign. In many ways, it seems like only yesterday, because the memories are so vivid and so enduring. He showed us that politics can still be a noble pursuit. None of us who knew him, loved him, will ever forget his grit, his grace, and his greatness. Thank you all so much for being here. It means the world to all of us.
My fellow citizens, I have requested this opportunity to talk to the people of Massachusetts about the tragedy which happened last Friday evening. This morning I entered a plea of guilty to the charge of leaving the scene of an accident. Prior to my appearance in court, it would have been proper for me to comment on these matters.
To them I say I recognize my own shortcomings, the faults in the conduct of my private life. I realize that I alone am responsible for them, and I am the one who must confront them. Today, more than ever before, I believe that each of us as individuals must not only struggle to make a better world, but to make ourselves better too. And in this life, those endeavors are never finished.
The last 10 weeks, I have not been active in public life. I have concerned myself with my family. I have spent much time by the sea, clearing my mind and my spirit of the events of last June. Some of you have suggested that for safety's sake and for my family's sake, I retire from public life. But there is no safety in hiding, not for me, nor for any of us here today. Like my three brothers before me, I pick up a fallen standard, sustained by their memory of our priceless years together. I shall try to carry forward that special commitment to justice, to excellence, to courage that distinguish their lives. Thank you very much. Sometimes a party must sail against the wind. It is time for the Democratic Party to take up the cause of health. There probably has not been a family in this country that has been touched by sickness, illness, and disease like my own family. I had a father that was touched by stroke and sick for 7 years. We were able to get the very best in terms of health care because we were able to afford it. It would have bankrupted any average family in this nation. I've been able to receive it for myself and for my family. Just like all of us who are on the tip of the iceberg, way up high in the healthcare services. We've got the very best, all of us at the tip of the iceberg. But I want every delegate at this convention to understand that as long as I'm a vote, and as long as I have a voice in the United States Senate, it's going to be for that Democratic platform plank that provides decent quality of health care, north and south, east and west, for all Americans as a matter of right and not a privilege.
I have come here to discuss my beliefs about faith and country, tolerance and truth in America. I know we begin with certain disagreements, and I strongly suspect at the end of the evening some of our disagreements will remain. But I also hope that tonight, and in the months and years ahead, we will always respect the right of others to differ, that we will never lose sight of our own fallibility, and that we will view ourselves with a sense of perspective and a sense of humor. After all, in the New Testament, even the disciples had to be taught to look first to the beam in their own eyes and only then to the mote in their neighbor's eyes. I am mindful of that counsel. I am an American and a Catholic. I love my country and treasure my faith. But I do not assume that my conception of patriotism or policy is invariably correct, or that my convictions about religion should command any greater respect than any other faith in this pluralistic society. I believe there surely is such a thing as truth, but who among us can claim a monopoly on it?
And may it be said of us, both in dark passages and in bright days, in the words of Tennyson that my brothers quoted and loved, and that have special meaning for me now: I am a part of all that I have met. Too much is taken, much abides. That which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. For me, a few hours ago, this campaign came to an end. For all those whose cares have been our concern, the work goes on, the cause endures, the hope still lives, and the dream shall never die.
Not merely victory for our party, but renewal for our nation. And this November, the torch will be passed again to a new generation of Americans. So with Barack Obama, and for you and for me, our country will be committed to his cause. The work begins anew. The hope rises again, and the dream lives on.